Sure, you've seen this. 158 members of the U.S. Congress have written to the State Department urging them to have the UN be accountable, including paying reparations for having brought cholera to Haiti. It's a pretty large number of Congress people, and I'm wondering what is what's the response to it?
Obviously, we've seen we've seen those reports. I think the UN's commitment to helping Haiti, helping the people of Haiti overcome the many challenges that they have remains the same, especially on issues of water and sanitation. We have worked tirelessly in an effort to raise funds to address these issues, and we will continue to do so.
Right, but they've obviously seen those presentations. The word reparations is the one that they're using in terms of people who lost homes, education. Is there any thinking by the UN to
I think
try to address
we're
that?
trying to do as much as we can to address the very challenging sanitation situation in Haiti.
Okay. And I just wanted to ask, there's a meeting in Conference Room 4 about the DPRK and Resolution 2270, and it's weird, it's on the webcast, but they said it's Chatham House rules, so I want to play by the rules, even though anyone in the world can see who says what. But a self-described UN official with a UN email address said in the session that self-described. I mean, I don't know his email. I don't want to use his name because they said it's Chatham House rules. It seems like somebody made a mistake here. But to play by the rules, an unnamed UN person with a UN email address said that DPRK has planted intelligence agencies in 2 UN agencies. And so I'm asking you, as the UN spokesperson, he said it.
I don't
given that he's saying it in a UN room and he's a UN person, even though he's remaining unnamed, can you find out which agencies?
I'll find out what the meeting is and try to see if I can get information on it.
One more for you.
Yeah,
if you
sure.
don't mind. I've been meaning to ask you this. There's in South Korea, you may have seen this or you may not have, in the Korea Times, they report on it's a Ban Ki-moon fan club, which I wouldn't normally ask you about, except that the express goal of the club is to promote the Secretary, Ban Ki-moon, as president. And it's called the Fireflies. They say they're going to do their main launch in October, and that it's committed to promoting Ban's achievements as UN Secretary General. So I wanted to know, I bet you he's aware of it. Is he going to stop it? Does he like it? What's his relationship to it?
He has no relationship to this. He found out about it when he saw the press reports. The Secretary General's intentions for his future have, as he's often said, that he will serve and focus on the work of the United Nations until December 31st at 11:59 p.m. Then afterwards he will make a decision on his future.
But in the same way that he asked, I believe, in that Kwan Hoon session, journalists not to confuse matters between. Was he going to ask these guys not to launch their Fireflies?
People are free to express themselves. As I said, he has absolutely no link to this group.
Okay. On what you read about WOW, in your absence, been asking Ferhan for what the UN's estimate of the number of people killed in the violence that took their place there, because the government and the opposition have such different numbers. If access was gotten by this deputy SRSG, what's the UN's view of how many people died?
We'll ask. It's not numbers. If those numbers exist, they've not percolated up to me or down to me. But we'll
does the UN view it as part of its role, given that you have two sides?
No, I'm not debating
right.
the basis of your question. I'm just saying I don't have the information.
And I also wanted to ask you, yesterday at the Human Rights Council, High Commissioner Zaid gave his presentation on Burundi, and he reported on several hundred extrajudicial executions, various things committed by the government. So I wanted to know, you've previously said, or it's been said, that the continued deployment of the Burundian peacekeepers in CAR is going forward. And I wanted to know, does this change anything, that the UN itself is reporting instances of torture, extrajudicial, things done by government forces?
all deployments are constantly under review. If we have an update, I will share that with you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Now call on the International Lawyers Organization.
Vice President, the Vienna Declaration and Program of Action was adopted under the auspices of the United Nations. It led to the creation of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, the focal points of human rights within the UN, and set the United Nations at the center of the global human rights movement. At times of today, many believe that the United Nations itself should set the example for the rest of the world. Too often, however, we have seen that this is not the case. It is with regret and concern that we must request the Council's attention for a matter of interference of the right to freedom of expression of a journalist at the UN in New York by the office of the UN most senior official. After covering the UN for more than a decade, on 19 February 2016, Inner City Press was ordered to leave the UN premises on 2 hours' notice in a letter signed by UN Under Secretary General for Public Information. The official reason given was that the journalist covered a private meeting. This meeting was held in the UN press briefing room, to which all press is ordinarily allowed, and the journalist immediately left the room when asked to do so by UN security. Moreover, the apparent harassment of Inner City Press appears to have commenced after it began covering a story concerning corruption linked to the office of the UN Secretary General. While the story has been widely covered, it was Inner City Press that repeatedly asked pointing questions about it at UN press conferences given by the spokesperson of the Secretary General. The timing of the first expelling of the Inner City Press journalist from the UN, then the closing of his office at the time the story was being covered, after more than a decade of covering the UN, at best seems suspicious and at worst a blatant interference with the human right to freedom of expression by a body who should know better and set a better example. We call on the High Commission for Human Rights, who is itself an Under-Secretary General, to inquire into this matter and to report the findings to this Council at its next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.